Hello and welcome. I'm Jon Garlick and I'm here with Sheriff Matthew Wade, and this is Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Sheriff.
Always good to be on the show, John. Today is a new day.
Today is a new day.
Today is actually yesterday was the new day.
Yesterday was the new day?
January the 16th was the day that all new political terms take office. So yesterday we had the swearing in of the sheriff's office where all the deputies and corrections officers and communications were all sworn in. And because people don't know, the term of sheriff only lasts for 4 years. And then each term stands on its own. So my last term ended at midnight on the 16th and started a new term. So we had to get re-sworn in for the authority to count again.
So you're the new sheriff.
I'm the new sheriff.
Same as the old sheriff.
Same as the old sheriff.
But your staff is still doing a great job. Let's take a look at last week's count.
3 arrests brings our count to 5,157 people arrested, all because somebody was willing to help us.
And that won't change with the new sheriff.
That won't change with the new sheriff. The only thing that'll change will be the number.
The number will keep going up.
That's right.
Because the new sheriff's here. Well, congratulations on the new term.
Thank you very
Congratulations
much.
to all of your new deputies. And we want to congratulate you for watching the show. We're going to be back with the first half of our lineup and a really special guest here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. Our lineup this week, the first half is brought to you by A1 Freedom Bail Bonding Company. A1 Freedom Bail Bonding, their number 256-236-7888. First up in the first half of our lineup, Michael Angel. Mr. Angel, last known to be living in Jacksonville, wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence, strangulation, and suffocation. This is Tony Phillips. Mr. Phillips, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on a failure to appear on possession of marijuana first. And take a look at Heather Nelson. Miss Nelson, last known to be living in Alexandria, she's wanted on a probation violation for receiving stolen property fourth and a failure to appear on a probation revocation. And this is Jerry Carroll. Mr. Carroll, last known to be living in Piedmont, he's wanted on a failure to appear on attempted domestic violence second. And meet Judith Panjola Mercado. Miss Panjola Mercado, last known to be living in Oxford. She's wanted for a probation violation on theft of property third. And that's it for the first half of the lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show. Hello, welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. There, you know where they are. And if you do, you give Sheriff Matthew Wade a call. The new sheriff, same as the old sheriff. You call, he hauls. We're here with Jessica Smith. Jessica, tell us now, who actually are you associated with?
United Way of East Central Alabama.
Yes, United Way of East Central Alabama.
Yes.
And United Way does a lot of good stuff, right?
They
Sheriff,
give to everybody.
They do. They give to the sheriff's office?
No,
You guys need to be giving to the sheriff's office. Sheriff needs help.
I
We help
think
in different ways.
the taxpayers give plenty. So we'll say that the taxpayers give plenty.
And what is your role at United Way?
So I'm the Marketing and Programs Director.
Ah, okay. That's very good. So you're here to talk about a specific program that's coming up. So
Yes.
let's tell us about that.
Just in this past year, we have started a new program called Hope United, which is a anti-trafficking program here in Calhoun County. Pam Stack is the outreach coordinator of that. I know she's worked with Sheriff Wade several times on some issues. But yeah, so I'm here today to talk about an event on Thursday at the Oxford Civic Center that is a resource event for anyone who may be interested in figuring out kind of what trafficking, I guess, is looking like in Calhoun County and what resources are available to help those in that situation, as well as they will have someone there speaking that was a lived experience. So that should be interesting.
Now, when you talk about trafficking for our viewing audience, we're talking about human trafficking as
Yes.
opposed to drug trafficking or any of that.
Human trafficking is the target that Pam works with. She's done a little work with labor trafficking and others, but human trafficking seems to be the highest.
Okay. So give us a definition, Sheriff, of what is human trafficking.
Well, and when you hear human trafficking, you think a lot of times that somebody's come into a house somewhere and kidnapped a kid and take it. A lot of times these people start out willingly, and then they get them hooked on drugs. They force them into sex acts for money. So they make them go places and do things against their will once they get their claws into them. So it's a lot of different things, but the basic definition would be is somebody being used for the sale of their body, for the sale and purpose of them making money off of them, things of that nature. So it's, the human smuggling, if you bringing somebody in the country could fall under that as well. So.
And there's a lot of misconceptions about human trafficking. So what are some of the more common misconceptions?
The one thing that Pam always says that sticks out in my brain is it's not your sketchy white van driving through a parking lot. That's not always, that's what we think of when we hear
You think
trafficking.
it's some stranger that come take them off the street. It's normally people that they know, have
Yes.
acquaintance with. They start out, for whatever reason, they meet them, maybe doing drugs together, or the person sells them drugs and they get their fingers into them. So it's not somebody that's looking for your child walking to school. These are people that are, a lot of times, substance abuse or substance use is involved in how these people get hooked into human trafficking. So it's, people do different things to be able to obtain things that they want in life, or in a addiction. You want something. I can't stop drinking Diet Cokes. So late at night, if I don't have one, I'm probably going to the store to get one. So I can only imagine if it's something as powerful as a narcotic.
Mm-hmm.
One of the misconceptions that I've heard is we think of it in terms of immigrants or foreign women or children that are being trafficked, when in fact the statistic's radically different, right?
Right.
So do you know what the statistic is?
I don't know what the statistic is. I know Pam was volunteering with Trafficking Hope out of Birmingham, and when she saw the number of calls that she was getting here in Calhoun County, that's when she came to us and said, I want to be under y'all, I want to volunteer with y'all, and let's try to tackle this issue.
Sometimes it falls into domestic violence situations as well. These people have those type of relationships, and it starts out as a relationship, goes into domestic violence, and that person's using domestic violence and narcotics to traffic somebody. So it's kind of like a pimp.
Mm-hmm.
And I-20 is a major corridor, is that right?
It's a corridor for a lot of things, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of things.
A lot of things happen on the interstates of America that's not pleasant.
And not just our interstates. Pam always says if you have a phone, if you have internet or a roadway, there's trafficking can get there.
A lot of stuff happening on the internet then. Both from an end user and from a enticement standpoint, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and you got young kids at 14, even younger than that, getting these electronic devices, and people have way more access, instant access, not only to children, but to me and everybody else. Used to, if somebody wanted to call the sheriff, they had to call the office. Now they got cell phones and internet, and you can get in touch with somebody through calling, texting, an app. I mean, many different, Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. It goes on and on and on. There's probably 35 or 40 ways somebody can get in touch with you instantly and search for you and look for pictures of you.
Wow. And you used to do a thing in the schools where you talk about internet threats.
I did. A long time ago, we did stuff about internet threats, and on occasion that happens. But more times than not, it's somebody with a substance abuse issue, a domestic relationship, that starts that human trafficking, and once they get involved, they can't get out.
Right. And it starts early in high school or younger, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Usually these students are enticed to a party, maybe through a friend that they have on campus. There's a term for that. I think they used to call them bottom girls, maybe, I don't know.
Yes,
yeah.
I've heard that.
And they would, entice their friend. They'd befriend them in school and then say, hey, we're having a party at my house, come on over. And then there'd be people she doesn't know, and then there'd be drugs or, some kind of date rape drug, and that would be the end of it. Or they build rapport, and yeah.
It's crazy to think about it. And that's one thing, Pam's wanting to really focus on prevention. Teaching our teenagers that this is real, it exists here, don't get caught up into it, here's how you can not get caught into it.
That's right.
Things to watch out for. So that's what's going to be at this event?
So that will be some of what's at the event. There will be someone from Child Trafficking Solutions will be speaking. I think she used to work with law enforcement, so she's got a little background on that she'll be talking about, as well as the lived experience speaker.
Okay. We talked off screen about the Hope House. Are they going to be there?
The Well House.
Well House,
yes.
Yeah. Well House.
I don't believe they're going to be there tomorrow, but this is a collaboration with Trafficking Hope, United Way, and Junior League, but all three of them, we utilize the Well House quite often.
So when Pam was looking at the statistics for Calhoun County, how bad is it? Do we know?
I don't know the number.
It's pretty bad, though, if she's like, well, I want to be involved
I
here.
know she stays pretty busy.
Yeah.
And not necessarily being an advocate. She's an advocate, but she's not necessarily being an advocate 24 hours a day.
Right.
There's a lot of prevention to that.
Well, and also there's a problem everywhere.
Right.
It exists everywhere. It's just a matter of how communities are willing to face it, look to it,
Yes.
and find solutions. So hopefully we can't necessarily stop it across the country, but maybe we can stop it here where somebody else says, let's go somewhere else, because they're not as proactive as we are here. So.
Well, that's the
Yes.
broken windows thing. Fix the street lights, move them on to someplace else. Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll hear more about that, and we'll see the second half of the lineup here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the second half of our lineup. This half brought to you by Abe's Ace Bail Bonds. Abe's Ace Bail Bonds, their phone number 256-831-0074. First up in this half of the lineup, Sharika Minor. Miss Minor, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to appear on possession of a controlled substance. We'd like you to take a look at Joshua Langford. Mr. Langford, last known to be living in Jacksonville, he's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property first. And this is Charles Byers. Mr. Byers, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on a probation violation for possession of a controlled substance. And meet Stacy Mayfield. Miss Mayfield, last known to be living in Talladega, she's wanted on a failure to appear in possession of a controlled substance and failure to appear in use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And meet Ronnie Davis. Mr. Davis, last known to be living in Oxford, he's wanted on a failure to appear for distribution of a controlled substance. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on these folks, give Crime Stoppers a call. That number 1-833-251-7867. Welcome back. We hope you saw somebody in that half of the lineup. You know where they are. You call the Sheriff Halls. So before we took a break, we were talking about, and continuing to talk about, human trafficking and how prevalent it is not only throughout the United States, but unfortunately pretty prevalent here in Calhoun County. And it takes many forms. We talked about some of the misconceptions. It's not the white van necessarily. It's kids in school. And the event Thursday is talking more about prevention. So, educating children, teenagers, about this problem is one thing, but educating the parents is another.
Absolutely.
People normally willingly go. That's what's hard to wrap your mind around is normally when people get human trafficked, they think they get snatched and locked in somewhere and beaten until but normally initially they go willingly. Mm-hmm. And then they get them, there are hooks in them where they can't get out, and that's how that human trafficking starts. But initially, they go willingly. It's people they consider friends or acquaintances. So it's, having that, it's not the abruptness. It's suck you in and then we won't let you out.
Yeah, it's slowly building rapport and trust. And what age groups are we talking about here?
As to where it starts?
Yeah.
I would say I've heard Pam even talk about as young as 12, 13. Starting there, and when they meet people online, those online predators start grooming them, telling them, I love you, I'll be there for you. If you'll come with me, I'll keep you safe, I'll make sure you have food, you'll have housing, those things that can really draw somebody in.
They're not saying no where their parents are.
Right.
Your parents don't understand, I understand you type deal.
Right.
Come live with me, come be with me, I understand and will take care of you. Your parents are just mistreating you. So, and when you're 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, you're a teenager, good parents are telling you no. You have those conflicts with your parents. So.
Parenting is the solution, and the teenage brain the impulse control center of the teenage brain is at its minimum at that point in their life, and so they act on impulse and do things that feel like it's fun, right? And so that's when parenting becomes a problem. So educating the parents on what to look for.
Right.
And then, of course, there's always, you were talking about at the break, this woman who got a hotel room for her daughter and her friend, right? I mean, what's that all about?
Yeah. That falls back to the parent.
That's bad parenting, right? That's bad parenting. So, we're looking at young teenage girls getting roped into something, and I don't suppose it's just girls, is it?
No. It could be anybody.
And they get roped in. Drugs as a manipulator. They build trust, and the next thing you know, they're on their way to a problem.
Yes.
And in law enforcement, you arrest prostitutes, right? That's a crime. But the sad part is, and I know the Well House works with this and a lot of advocates work with this, is really no little girl wants to grow up and become a prostitute. They don't have prostitute Barbie dolls, right?
Right.
So these women or men that are involved in that illegally are probably trafficked, right? They're probably as much victims as they are criminals. Is that what you see?
In Alabama, the law is actually called promoting prostitution. So it goes after the actual pimp
of the
person.
Okay.
So if you're your own pimp, you could be arrested. But in Alabama, it's the promoting of prostitution that's illegal. So it goes after somebody that if you're pimping somebody, you can be arrested for that in Alabama. So or you could be yourself that you're pimping. But either way, it goes after the promoting of it. So.
And how much of that do we have?
You don't catch a lot of people doing that. I mean, that's it's not like it is on TV where there's a street in Calhoun County where there's people lined up where you can go do that. It does happen. It's happened in Jacksonville, and some other agencies have done that where they use electronic forms and people come think they're meeting women for prostitution in hotels, and they've been arrested for that. They've done that several times in the past year or so, and it gets people, a lot of times people that show up for that are people in the community that you never would think would do something like that. But so in the day's world, it's not a street where people go, it's online, and apparently there's ways and pages and sites that you can go and do that, and they, in today's world, you never know, it might be a law enforcement officer you're talking with. So.
Yeah, well, one could hope so that we get you off the street.
Well, and Jacksonville has done that twice and netted a bunch of people both times.
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure they'll continue doing that around the college campus, and that'll be something that maybe people will go, I better not do that.
Well, and that's a double benefit because you're arresting the person that's using those services, perhaps getting to the pimp, but you're also really rescuing the women and young men that are involved in providing those services, right, and giving them an opportunity to heal.
Especially if if people know that I might not should do that, that might get me arrested. There's people that will do it. There's people who do it anyway, and there's some people say I might, but I'll probably get arrested, so I'm not going to. So it could happen. It's happened here.
And that's the point where we like intervening and helping those, being an advocate for those who have been caught in it, and try to help them get out of it.
So if there's a parent out there that suspects that their daughter might be involved or knows that their daughter has come back and said this is what happened to me, as an advocate, where do they go? Who can they call?
I would say call our office. It's 256-236-8229 and ask for Pam. She is there. She's available anytime to come talk to parents, talk to teenagers. She will talk to anybody. If you have somebody in need of services, she's a phone call away to help connect them with those services as well.
Okay. And Thursday is the event.
Yes.
So give us the particulars again.
Thursday is the event. It's at the Oxford Civic Center. Anybody is welcome to come. The event is free. It's from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Excellent. So there'll be all kinds of information there for parents and children.
Yes, there will be vendors that have resources available as well as the information through the event.
And Sheriff, if somebody thinks that something might be going on at a neighbor's house or a hotel,
always call law enforcement, and we can do that. And if you have a loved one that actually gets arrested, please call us. Pam Stack actually comes into the jail and works with people that's been arrested for different things to try to help them on their trafficking issues as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being with us. We're going to take a break, and then we will be back for the Crazy Criminal and the Crime Stoppers portion of the show. So stay with us here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted. And welcome to the Crime Stoppers part of our show, where we ask your help for the following cases. First up, between January 15th and January 17th, a white and blue unicorn bag containing prescriptions and money was taken out of a Ford Escape on Charlie Penny Road. And between January 10th, around 11:20 a.m., a Cobalt 26-gallon air compressor was taken from a home on Case Ferry Road in Wellington. If you can help identify this person, please contact the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. And between January 14th and January 16th, a Kubota LS 2501 tractor was post-hole digger was stolen from a home on Cochrane Springs Road in Ohatchee. And that's it for the Crime Stoppers cases this week. If you have any information on these cases, please give Crime Stoppers a call. That number, 1-833-251-7867.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
Sheriff, it's that time again.
Crazy criminals. I tell people all the time, just because you're arrested doesn't mean you're stupid, but
Could mean you got something going on.
It could mean.
And this guy, look at him. Now, this is a crazy criminal. See, you can see the whites all the way around his eyes.
He looks crazy. His name is Michael Lloyd. He's 30 from Springfield, Missouri. So you might be asking yourself, what's that black thing on his neck? Well, we're covering up an obscene tattoo that has a description, and below it's 12, which people commonly refer to law enforcement as 12. So he's got a tattoo on his neck where he's telling us that he doesn't like us. And Michael here was already in trouble and had an ankle bracelet on his leg for his previous encounter with the law. Huh. I guess he got the tattoo probably after that because he probably wasn't happy with us. But he had an ankle monitor on. Well, the Bank of America in Springfield, Missouri got robbed.
Dang.
Investigators knew just almost immediately that it was him through his ankle monitor. So out of that, he pled guilty, and I think he got 20 years in federal prison, and he only got $754. So I don't know if that was enough to cover his tattoo cost or not. But Michael there he looks a little surprised. But 20 years for $754, and and a bad tattoo. So
there you go. He'll have 20 years to reflect on that and eat free food.
I wonder if we took $754 and divided it by 20 years, what that would be.
Well,
or if we could do it by days, we get the number of days of 20 years and divide it. How many a fraction of a cent that would be per day he's spending in prison.
Well, of course, he doesn't have to pay rent.
He doesn't have to pay rent.
No, so I don't know. Maybe it worked out for him. Well, Sheriff, congratulations on starting a new term.
Thank you.
I know you're excited about that, and 4 more years, we'll be congratulating you on another term.
Well, looking forward to helping as many people as we can. That's what we do.
And if people are interested in joining your new team,
hey, we have openings. Please come be a deputy sheriff, corrections officer, dispatcher. Put you to work.
Law enforcement is a wonderful career. So if you're looking for a career change or just to start out, give Sheriff Matthew Wade a call. He will give you lots of great advice. And we hope to see you guys again next week here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted, but we don't want to see you in the lineup. We just want to see you on the other side of the camera. So take care, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week here on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.